And good evening, thank you for joining us. This is the 22nd of the 10th, and we are here for the weekly unofficial Football Manager show. It is myself, it is Colin and Ryan. Good evening, gentlemen.
How's it going?
Good evening.
It is going well. Getting closer to beta, nearly beta as this episode is called. We are, what are we, a week? Maybe a week and a day maybe from the release of beta, which is getting exciting.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
I think it's getting to that point now where we all just want to get our hands on FM16. FM15 slowly petering out. Ryan is obviously witnessing this a lot more than us because he runs our online league, which we're going to get into in a short time, Ryan. So obviously, as you know, FM15, it's kind of come to a close. People take a couple of weeks off, etc.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I think, Ryan, first off, we're going to go through the FM16 features, so do you want to just work your magic and just run through some that have happened since our last show?
Yeah, plenty released today. So the most recent one, Miles calls it a major improvement. So it's major improvements to collaborations in situations where one person or one family own multiple clubs. I'm not sure what it means. I think that could be
Is
like...
that the, I wonder if that's to...
situation where they own multiple clubs. They link up.
That's what I was wondering, if it's an improvement on that sort of, your board, almost a better job or an improvement over, affiliate agreements if you get a tighter relationship.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be something that Miles is going to want to work on. I know they look at the whole area of Football Manager, but when it actually affects your own specific club, I can assume that you want to kind of push through that kind of fix as quick as you can. So obviously Watford and Udinese links. Now, from my understanding of this, they're going to be able to maybe arrange signings, arrange deals between each of them. Maybe you can do... there was the big build-up last week, Ryan, where we spoke about the swap deals. I wonder if that's going to be a lot more active between clubs like Watford and Udinese, for example.
Yeah, they still have to be careful though, because if they go over the top, then they're going to be going against I think it's FIFA rules, or could be the English League rules. So they've still got to be careful.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be interesting, along with most features, to see exactly how they work. What's the next feature, Ryan?
Okay, so I'll explain match engine videos later on. So AI managers, they will now retrain promising youth players in positions that match their first team current formation.
I like that. So if you're playing, let's say we're playing wing backs, for example, and you're looking to sign a wing back, you can maybe go through the league, see what other clubs are playing wing backs, and then you know that there's going to be some players who fit that role and are already trained in that position because the current manager would have been training them in that role. So I quite like that idea, Colin.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see that the AI is going to get in and train. So you have different, as different managers in the game have different styles. I think it'll be really interesting to see what how that morphs regens, and as you start getting into these longer saves, what sort of happens. So I'm interested in that one.
Yeah, I think definitely, as I say, something to look forward to. What's the next one, Ryan?
Okay, so another nice, simple one. Past meetings with managers. So this is more if you have a bogey manager that you can't seem to beat, or you beat them all the time, or you draw with them all the time. You can look at your past history when playing against this manager, no matter what club he's been at. If you've played against him before, all the history will be there.
I like that because... obviously in the past you can see past club history, can't you, when you've played against a specific team. So I like the fact that, for example, if you have a feud with Jose Mourinho, you can kind of go on and check, no matter where he's been after his couple of years and then moving on, you'll be able to find out exactly how you've done against him, it's quite a nice little feature, Colin. Again, just adding them little things to the game.
Yeah, and I think, to me, that one's an interesting one in a couple of different dynamics, because one... if you play bigger teams, and like you said, how do you play against the Mourinhos and Ancelottis and that of the world? I think the other side is, for those of us that really like lower league management, and that is sometimes you get a lot of recycling of specific managers around in the different lower leagues. So having some better insight against how you play against them may help you a little bit as opposed to sort of treating everybody blind.
Definitely. And what's the next feature this week, Ryan?
Okay, so we know performance analysis is going to be a major part of FM16. So your backroom staff now will suggest a change of role for a player based on performance analysis.
I like that. Again, it's more. I assume it's going to be bringing in a lot more of the pro zone, Ryan. Do you think?
Yeah, I would think more. So it's more not relying on you as a manager to go and look and think, "Cool, I'll train him because I've seen this." There's nothing to stop you from doing that. But now your backroom staff will say, based on such and such a stat, we suggest that you change this player to train in this position.
I think it's a great little feature, and again, if you can make your players universal, is the word, where they can play in a few different positions, Colin, I think it's only going to make your team slightly better in the long run.
Yeah, I think it's always, and to me, the interesting part of it is getting different insights. You know, I mean, as different coaches have different stats and abilities, and that getting different opinions on those kind of retrains is always interesting. It gives you something to think about. If nothing else, it's more data to think about.
Definitely. How many more have we got to go through, Ryan? Is there another one?
Yeah, there's quite a few since the last show, and then we'll explain the Fumio and then we'll explain the match engine. So, quite a simple one. In certain circumstances, when taking a manager's job, you have the option to move the existing manager to be your director of football. This one sort of made no sense to me. I don't know if he meant if the previous manager gets sacked, and then there is a, where manager just takes over for a short period of time, but they want to stay at the club, you can move them to be director of football, like what Giggs became at Man United.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one. I mean, maybe it's aimed more towards when they don't get sacked, but maybe if their job's under threat, you might get approached to become the manager of that club. They might look to just change the structure, and they might say, do you want to come be manager? We're going to move the current manager up to direct football if you want, otherwise we can just let him go. I'm not too sure if that's a way of clubs approaching you before the manager's been sacked now, Colin.
Yeah, I'm sort of with Ryan on this one. I'm not necessarily sure I understand exactly what benefit may or may not be there, especially as, you know, to me, I find I haven't really played much with the director of football type, you know, in the clubs. It hasn't been something that I've encountered a lot, so I'm not so sure. To me, this one is one that I don't see potentially impacting me a whole lot. So, yeah.
We shall find out. What's next, Ryan?
Okay, so linking with what was supposedly Back to the Future Day yesterday, they've updated regen hairstyles. And, well, the pictures were quite scary to me. There's one with a mohawk, and there's one that looks about 80 years old. Bald head and hair at the side.
That's fantastic.
Pulling off the style.
He's pulling a Colin. I like that because there's so many neutral hairstyles in FM15. You end up having a team who all looks the same when you're flicking through. So if they're just going to add it, again, it's them tiny little features. I think what Football Manager have done massively this year, I actually spoke to Golden FM about this, that from the screenshots they keep releasing, it seems what they've done is taken bits from add-ons, from custom skins, from custom graphics in general, and kind of went, can we implement that in FM16? And that's what it's coming across as to myself, so I can't wait to see exactly to what extent, but it does look like they're just fixing them little things which people have had to download custom stuff for, Colin, in the past.
Yeah, I think this is the bulk of what I see seems to be little tiny adjustments, and as you said, it's the little things that people do anyway that help improve the enjoyability of the game. So, you know, I'm curious to see how they all work, you know, as a sum total.
Something to look forward to, Ryan.
Yeah, definitely.
Might find somebody with your haircut on it. You never know.
There's already one. Well, no, not from Football Manager. But if you download the hair packs that are available out there, there's one out there that looks sort of like me.
Fantastic. Moving on.
Good style.
Sure. Moving on.
Okay, so we'll talk about the match engine videos now. Unfortunately, we can't show these as for SoundCloud and YouTube viewers, but there were 2 videos that came out today. One that's shown goalkeeper improvement, and the other shown a highlights package. So you got to see quite a bit more of the match engine, and it's looking good. Fantastic. Goalkeepers seem to have been improved, but I'm going to hold judgment on that. I'm not going to base it on what I see on a video. I'm going to wait till I've started playing the games, because they may well be mistakes somewhere, and eventually some months down the line there'll be all goalkeepers don't do this, or goalkeepers make silly mistakes, and then we'll just have to start explaining that goalkeepers make mistakes in real life. So
I think when you look at we're going to use, obviously I will use FIFA as an example of this, because their match engine is one of the best, if not the best, out there. The quality of it, the graphical quality, is outstanding, and still people complain. There's still videos showing people disappearing into the pitch, for example, on YouTube, Ryan. So I think no matter what level it goes to, there's always going to be people who are not happy with the match engine in terms of what you visually see. So as you say, it looks good. There was some fantastic little goals which were shown on that highlights package. It seems like the players use the side of the foot and kind of have some more control on the ball, the way they move and stuff, which is nice to see.
Yeah, definitely. It's getting better year on year. I think you've got to remember that Football Manager and Sports Interactive, they're not out there to make a massive graphical game for the match engine, because they want to reach all of their market, and they want a lot of people to download the game. If they have a big massive match engine that's going to require big massive graphics in their computer, they're going to lose a lot of their fans.
Definitely.
So they're doing well to keep it a balance.
Definitely. Is there any more features that have come out this week?
Yeah, we'll go with this last one, which is sort of in the game already. So it's match confidence, but it's more coming from your fans now. So as your results go along, they'll be red, green and yellow. So it's sort of a rag rating, you could say. So whatever result it is, I assume if it's red, then you're probably lost and the fans aren't happy. Green, they're going to... not happy. Green, they're going to be happy. And yellow, or amber for rag, they're medium to mad, or medium to angry. They're in the middle somewhere.
They're in the middle.
Nice little addition.
Yeah, I think it's a nice feature just to help you see the opinions of the fans in a bit better light, Colin. Again, it's a visual aid, which seems like a massive part of FM16.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I'm interested in on that one is that ripple into anything else. So, right, as a lower league team, one of the biggest things that you can always do to help your finances is if you go on good runs. So I'm curious is if you can kind of see how fans are reacting, and if they're sort of in the green and happy with you, does that translate to more people coming to the games and that? Or, you know, just to give you a picture, can you see what kinds of results cause them to tip over and people get upset and fewer of them come out? So I'm interested to see how it dovetails into other aspects of the game.
Definitely. Well, we're going to move on from the FM16 features. As people who listen to the show every single week on iTunes, SoundCloud or YouTube know, we review features every single week as they announced in the lead up to FM16, with beta coming out hopefully at the end of next week. Obviously nothing's confirmed there yet. Ryan, we're just going to quickly talk about something which has been running since 2014, and 2016 FM is going to be a big year for it, which is the online league, which yourself and Ben handle.
Yeah, big massive changes for FM16. We're currently nearing the end of what's the league stage of a test for how the league's going to be run on FM16. For me, it may sound biased, but I think it's going really well. If anyone is listening that's part of the online league, feel free to give us some feedback in the comments on iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever you're watching. But yeah, big massive changes. If you want to find out how it's running, it's currently on the website in, well, I'll call it beta stage, because beta's the thing of this podcast today. So it's all testing, and at the end of the season, all the admins will sit down and probably talk about how we can improve little things, anything that went well. Yeah, all big changes. It's going really well. I've won my league already, so I'm going through to the next stage. And Matty Shannon, who's managing Man City in the other league, if he wins his next game, he wins his league.
Fantastic. I know it's been getting a lot of good feedback. The change of the layout of the league. I mean, people can go on, as Ryan says, on the footballmanagercentral.com, and the slider images are there as preparation for FM16, but there is a drop down menu at the top, and the online league. All the links are in there to check the current test season, as we're calling it. We did convert the final season of FM15 to this test because FM16 was the plan to make the league bigger and better than before, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan, obviously you mentioned there's a league structure, and just for people who might be interested in checking out, might be interested in following teams during FM16, or even taking part after the league structure, which is a red and green division. What's the current structure after the league's finished?
So it now sort of runs like the MLS. There's two divisions, the FM Green and FMC Red, like Paul's just said. The top four from those two divisions will end up in a Super Cup or an Elite Cup. I can't remember what we've called it. Good planning. And then the bottom, anybody below the top four from both divisions will end up in, Super 6 Cup. So I've got the names right. So they all go into a cup. They don't just go out of the league even if you finished outside the top four. So there'll be 8 teams in the Elite Cup, all battling out to win the FMC Online League, and then the teams below will battle out for a Super 6 Cup. So they're not just going out there and battling for a wooden spoon.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully people enjoy it, and hopefully you check it out. As we say, footballmanagercentral.com. Go on the menu at the top, you will see the online league. Just select the drop downs and check it out.
And there will be slightly different teams for FM16 for anybody that does check it out. We've gone slightly different. Tried to cover all continents around the world.
Fantastic. The next step, I just want to quickly talk about youth challenges. Now, this is kind of a preview of FM16. One of the first things I'm going to do. There's a lot of people who struggle with youth development in terms of how to develop the players or the best way or best route to go down. Now, I've decided to take up a challenge of doing a youth challenge at Montrose when FM16 Beta comes out. I'm going to start this. It's going to be something I'm going to run for quite a while. So I will just run it from Beta, and hopefully there's not too many bugs so it can work well. I'm basically going to be trying to fill my team within the first season with as many youngsters as I can. And then over season 2, I will try to develop them as much as I can and just say exactly how it's going to work. Kind of talk through 3-month steps. I think I'm going to do it in, and just basically see if I can develop youth players with very minimal facilities and very minimal staff. Because there's been at the higher level development of youth, I've had a lot of success with, and at the lower level, I've had a bit of success, but at times I have kind of advised people just to stay away from it, just to kind of build to progress, and then obviously when you get up the divisions then focus on youth. So I want to just kind of flip it on its head and focus on youth from the start and see if I can actually develop something which would work at that level. But we're going to move on to FM15 again, which is Stockport Chat. Now, what is Stockport Chat, Colin?
So after I had made a couple of the videos talking about lower leagues, and I had gotten a comment from someone on, they were struggling with Stockport County in the Vanarama North a little bit. So I decided to look them up because I had never looked at it. Oddly enough, I had never actually clicked up to the Vanarama North. I've always sort of managed in the South when I've started in England. So I did. I dialed them up, and I decided to take them over. And I was impressed right out of the gate with the speed that existed up front on the teams. So what I decided to do was see if I could start putting things together and just to play them and see what would happen. My original intent was to see if I could put together how to use pace and how to use counterattacking speed in there. And it turned out that, again, I sort of ebbed into an attacking mode on it, and I ended up having a fairly successful first season. So overall, the squad finished mid-table, which was about where we were expected to. But the absolute highlight of it was a run to the third round of the FA Cup. So we ended up beating a handful of smaller clubs to get to the first round. We went away on the road and beat Preston North End 2-1. Then we played Dagon Red and beat them 2-1. And then we eventually went out 4-0 at the Britannia Stadium against Stoke City, which we had some opportunities to score. Unfortunately, due to the skill gap between a Premier League team and a Vanarama North squad, offsides and things like that, where it was much more difficult to take them on. But the interesting part of where I'm with the save now is I made almost $1 million from just the FA Cup alone. So now I've started to recycle it into the team. We've got new youth facilities coming. I've been able to reinvest into players a little bit more. So now what I'm interested to see is what can I do with this club now that I've got a really solid financial base to start working from, that's going to allow me to do those little things that help make clubs better. So far we are 8 games into my second season, and I'm 7 wins, 1 loss. We're averaging just a little under 3 goals a game and conceding less than 1 goal a game. So we are putting lots of balls into the net. So we'll see how it goes. I'm super excited for this season.
Fantastic. It definitely sounds like you say you finished mid-table. You had a fantastic run in the FA Cup. It definitely looks like your tactic is designed to beat them bigger teams. Your players are definitely stepping up. Then, as you say, you've kind of used the finances to improve the whole club over the summer, and it's definitely playing dividends second season when you're winning the league so far.
Yeah, and I think something especially for a lot of lower league managers. We've talked a lot on this show about finances and finance management. Is if you're really able to manage your way into a deep run, be it in an FA Cup, an FA Trophy, or if you're in a Scottish League Cup, wherever you happen to be managing, a really solid run gives you options. And then the thing I find is if you can start to intelligently recycle that money back into the club, not just dump it into a whole bunch of big, get a big wage budget the following season, dump it into a bunch of high-profile players, take a shot at promotion, and either miss and end up in a bad financial state, or get there and end up going right back down because the club doesn't have a solid base. I took a lot of the money in the increased wage bill I got this time and invested in building my under-21s squad. So I have tons and tons of hot prospects, and that's sitting into my under-21 squad with a lot of potential. So now as my youth facilities in that improve, I've got good players that are ready to come in. I can start rotating them into the squad. Right, you can start to build something that's more sustainable, so that you have momentum on your side, as opposed to sort of just a raw squad where you have to transfer everybody in, which I find can get relatively exhausting and complex if you have to every summer sort of from scratch rebuild an entire squad, get them to rework your tactics, relearn everything, and kind of hope for the best.
It's definitely something I want to follow, and hopefully you'll keep us updated on FM Central on Facebook. Maybe get some screenshots up there and get people excited in the save.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a few screenshots. I know I was sort of lamenting that, of course, I have to have a really good save with some good runs right at the end of an FM cycle.
I didn't want to bring that up to upset you.
Yeah, it was already upsetting me. I'll probably make a quick video to kind of highlight at the end of this season, just to see where we go, so people can see the tactic and the players and sort of how the squad looks. Hopefully promoted into the conference premiership in the next season. But so stay tuned. Probably over the weekend I'll drop a video on what my Stockport looks like.
Fantastic. Well, that's the end of the show for this evening. And what I want to do is, before we go, I want to let people know that in the build-up to FM16 Beta, I'm going to be releasing videos every night next week on iTunes, SoundCloud and YouTube, which is basically a goodbye to Football Manager 2015. There will be little interviews with certain members of the FM Central community, just kind of discussing their highlights of FM15, be it the game itself, be it an actual save, as well as looking at some low points, because you've always got to say goodbye looking at both aspects of it. So hopefully you'll check them out. It does mean our iTunes, SoundCloud and YouTube accounts will be very busy next week, so something to listen to. So stay tuned for them. There's going to be some interesting stories hopefully coming out from people's saves. we did a special weekly show last Sunday night, which was kind of around the same type of topic, which was discussing with Lee from FM Central. And it was a fantastic episode, so I look forward to recording some more of them. So stay tuned, people, next week for some of them. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave a review. Please be nice. I would really appreciate that. So, Colin and Ryan. And we will see you all next week.